What's up, everybody? I am your host, David FILAR. This is going to be episode 41 of an Untold narrative. And for the first time in our podcast, we actually have two guests. So it'll be the three of us all together, featuring Darren Balaban, I believe is your last name, from Google. And I have a Kate Samuels. So welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hello. What's
Good
up?
to be here.
I'm super happy to try this and see how this rolls out. And you guys both, I met and interacted with on Clubhouse, but we'll kind of divide it up to a question for each of you guys is give yourself, and for the audience, a 30-second elevator pitch. And if it goes over 30 seconds, it's totally fine, about yourself and kind of what you do and who you are.
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, go, Kate. How about you?
Okay, my name is Kate Samuels. I'm a Santa Fe, New Mexico artist. I enjoy long walks on the beach. I paint animals with fungus growing on them, and I'm 5'2". Darren?
How do I follow that? Okay.
You have to include your height, I guess.
This is really off to a great start. What's up, guys? My name is Darin Balaban. I'm currently in Oakland, California. I'm a muralist and artist and need more coffee.
Great. Thanks for being here. Yeah, you so like I mentioned, we kind of interacted. I saw a mutual friend, I guess, was in one of your guys's kind of low-key rooms, and so I just randomly joined, and then you guys asked me to come on and introduce myself, and I started talking, and next thing you know, Darren's pushing Kate to be on my podcast and threw you right in front of that bus. And a couple weeks later, here we are. So talk to me. You guys are both in two different locations. How did you guys meet? Was it through Clubhouse? Why is your relationship what seems to be super strong and more of like a wicked friendship? I don't know. You guys tell me.
I met Darren on Clubhouse. We all sort of coagulated around this one bigger artist named Frank Kozik. And we all sort of go in those rooms and learn from him, learn from what we can with all the other big name artists that join in with us in those rooms. So, and that's how we all met. And it's been really fun. It's been crazy and really helpful for all of us that have been sort of cooped up in our little tiny caves for the entire COVID. So, you know, it's been really nice to have people, you know, on the, even if it is just audio, just in general to talk to.
How long ago was like those rooms that you guys interacted with first?
I mean, honestly, man, the internet makes the perception of time so, are we allowed to swear? So fucking weird. Yeah, okay, excuse me. And so it feels like a really long time, but I think we've only been on, I don't know, like 3 months. It could even be less than that. But we all work from home, right? And a lot of the time I listen to podcasts or music or have some sort of pseudo distraction while I'm working. And to basically be in like an art school type of vibe with people who have become my friends is just awesome. So, I mean, you know, it's probably unhealthy how much time we spend on there, but it's all right.
But you two have this like very fun, interactive way that you communicate. How did that start? Or did you just like start picking on her, Darren?
Oh, it's my fault? Okay. No, so I mean, okay, real answer. Our room is just kind of a funny vibe. Like, you know, Kate gave a really good professional elevator pitch, and it is true. We have, you know, name drop here, people in there, and we do learn from one another. But if you walk into the room, it just seems like we're constantly talking shit, because we kind of are. But if you look between the lines and kind of stay for a while, a lot of it is actually helping each other. And I think we all have the coping mechanism or the go-to of like leaning on humor to deal with pretty much everything. So I don't know. I think Kate and I really lean into that, and it's like a deadly combo. But yeah, that must be what you're picking up on, I guess.
1,000%.
I poke at him a lot.
Wait, what was that?
I poke at him a lot.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I definitely pick up on that. Kate, do you agree with what he said?
Oh, absolutely. Well, in our group, we make fun of each other to show affection. Like, if you can handle the shit that we poke at you on a regular basis, then you're good to go. But the second that, you show the slightest weakness and we're like, out you go. So it's really funny, but it's also it's weird. It's a weird dynamic, but it's fun. And, like some of these people are Darren, Christine, all of these people are some of the closest friends I've had in a long time. And he's right. We do work from home. We don't, the only time we socialize is when we're at shows and we have to, kind of hyper focus on being professional at that time. So it's nice to be around other people that get that and that understand that being goofy and clumsy is absolutely necessary.
Totally. So you guys keep referencing working from home, and I guess now is the time to discover what you guys actually do, because it seems to me that every time I talk to an artist, regardless of even how many followers they have, they don't do that full time. They have something else that keeps them afloat. So Kate, we'll start with you. What do you do that occupies your quote unquote 9 to 5, or do you do art full time?
I do art full time. I'm a painter. I've done this since 2014. I've been professional and showing in Santa Fe since 2014. I am just now branching out to possibly LA. So we're gonna see how that goes. But it's been great, and I'm really grateful for it. Santa Fe is a great place.
Since 2014, you've been doing art full time by yourself.
Yep.
That is massively impressive. So congratulations on that. That's pretty cool. You have, just to push that thought a little bit further, like, do you have like your own studio? It looks like, I don't know where you are right now, but like, are you sitting in your studio? Like, what kind of environment is it? Like, do you work every day or do you only work when you're creative?
I work every day. You have to. It's not one of those jobs you can easily just say, I'll work when I need to. No, you have to practice every day. And the more you practice, the faster you get at your job. And the more efficient you are doing it the right way the first time. So, that's where Clubhouse kind of came in, is that I can listen to people chat and I can work at the same time. And that's what makes it so great. And I think that's why we're so close now, because we've all understood that. We have that understanding that when the room is quiet, it's not because we're mad or we're just like asleep. It's because we're working.
Gotcha. That makes a lot.
Or we're mad or asleep. That's, that happens.
It's true. It does happen, but we try not to make it too obvious.
Also, like, this isn't sponsored by Clubhouse. We don't need to like name drop it all the time.
No, I mean, listen.
That is the core of how we met, though.
If you want to sponsor my podcast, that'd be great. If you guys know somebody, hit me up. But Darren,
Yeah, totally.
what about yourself? What do you do full time? Is it art? Is it murals?
Yeah. So I do art full time. I have been for I don't know, what year is it? Like almost 3 years. I did have a very 9 to 5 job. I worked in sales and marketing for a bunch of different companies. And then I would just do commissions on the weekends, or just honestly do non-sanctioned murals in undisclosed locations. And that just started to take up more and more of my time. And I just took the plunge and was like, you know what, before I'm 30, I'm going to try to do art full time. And if it doesn't work out in a year or so, I'll turn back. And the first year was fucking terrible. It was awful. I look back and I can't believe the stuff I was doing. I took an Uber to one mural that was huge, and oh my goodness, man. I can't even say how much I charged. It was a fraction of what I would charge for like a doorway now. And it was an entire gymnasium. And I think I lost money by taking Ubers there. So that was like my first professional experience. I was just blowing it left and right. And somehow I figured it out, and I actually became the CEO of my own little company, mural company. It's since dissipated, but I still do it to a certain extent. So my bread and butter is doing commercial and commission murals. But I spend most of my time doing the art that I like to do now, which is pretty crazy.
So this is amazing because I'm so happy that I got proven wrong and that both of you guys do artwork. That is amazing. Hats off to both of you guys. So Darren just mentioned his bread and butter. Kate, you have a very unique style. And that's kind of why, you know, when Darren was pushing your name, being like, so then I clicked through your Instagram and I'm like, holy shit, like this is something like I've never really seen, like, you know, these animals like interacting with nature and flowers and all these things in there, like there's depth and there's layers, and it's something I've never seen before. And so talk about like, are those type of pieces your bread and butter? You said that, you know, in the Santa Fe area, you know, maybe you're in galleries or stuff like that, but like, what is your bread and butter? Like, is it canvas art, or is it like, you know, commissions, or?
It's both. Well, it's mostly watercolor and acrylic canvas, and I do sell in a gallery, Pop Gallery in Santa Fe, if you want to give a jingle and see their website. So I started this style because as a kid with ADD, I was told to sort of sit down and hush a lot. Like, kids are better seen, not, you know, heard. Seen, not heard. It is early in the morning.
Wait, seen, not hurt? Did you say seen, not hurt? Was that like a Freudian slip?
Yeah, it is. Straight up. I had a rough childhood, bro.
That's a different interview.
I'm joking.
Pivot.
So, so my creatures are more about the ability to express anger, the ability to show an emotion that I wasn't allowed to show as a person in my family. The fungus represents sort of that anger growing outward and how it can manifest itself. I am Kate, and I am done speaking.
Damn, you just got deep on us. Like, all right.
No, but listen, like these are the real things that people want to hear, right? Like, it's true, right? Society wants us to, like, you know, have, you know, this like professional face, and we can't deep dive into like why we do certain things, but like those type of stories, like, people love. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us. And obviously it's a huge part of your art and kind of what makes it yours, essentially, and kind of as a differentiation factor. And to that point, Darren, what do you think about your art makes you know, people gravitate towards commissioning you or your mural company, even on the commercial side, you said? So I'm assuming you're trying to go after businesses to do something inside, maybe outside. You know, what's that process look like?
Yeah, so I've honestly, by dumb luck and a lot of work, have I stumbled across certain applications and different curators and providers. I'm being coy because I kind of don't want to blow up my spots, but because I was an early adopter to some things, my like searchability and SEO, unknowingly to me, is great. Like, if you Google, you know, whatever, I mean, maybe not because you couldn't find me, but if you Google my name or like muralist in the area or whatever, I think I show up fairly readily. So because of that, I mostly get inbound requests for, I mean, dude, the gamut is crazy. I get some weird shit, honestly, but you know, the stuff that isn't as weird and I can do, I'll do it if it's within my scope. I've been trying to make the shift into doing stuff that's only in my style, which is definitely a luxury. So I've been kind of taking a step back from doing commercial stuff and just, you know, honestly taking a little bit of a pay cut to do what I want to do, which is mostly like abstract, kind of silly, cartoony, I don't know, like postmodern silliness. I don't really know how to explain it. You know, it's just what I like to do.
What talk about, I mean, you just mentioned that, right? And my brain immediately goes to, that's like the beautiful part of working for yourself, and specifically as an artist, is ultimately it's to do the work that you want to do. That can't come easy, right? So a lot of our listeners are maybe work for a company or aren't like fully invested in themselves yet. So what are some of the challenges? I'm assuming both of you guys have faced challenges in terms, like, even financial, of, you know, how do you at, maybe a low point, and I apologize, a motorcycle's going by right now, so that's great.
How dare you?
I know. So when you guys are encountering, a low point, in your year of finances and supporting yourself, how do you get over that hurdle? Do you guys have specific strategies that you could share?
I try to stretch things out, and I'll do pieces on cheaper materials, and then sort of work with that. But I haven't really reached a super lull, and I'm lucky. I'm not saying that it's common. I'm just saying I'm sort of fortunate that I was able to pull that off. But there's a difference between knowing when you can quit your 9 to 5 to be an artist and when you shouldn't do that. Like there is that starting point where you have to really study and really practice, and then get your cohesive, your series together to show to galleries. But there's that moment before that you're not sure.
So let me push that thought a little bit further, Kate. You mentioned back in 2014 you went off on your own. Like, what did you do beforehand, and what was that thought for you of like, or breakdown that like, okay, I can do this and I could sustain myself for X period of time before I like have a problem?
I was a nanny. I was a nanny for a family, and there was just a lot of stuff that happened in between there. But I started painting right when I was in there, and then I got this cohesive series together, not really by accident, but I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. This was really more therapy for me. And so when I went to a gallery in Santa Fe and said, please show my work, and they said yes, I was really surprised. That was not what I expected. I was prepared for any response, but yes was not the one I was prepared for. So
that good old cliche, nanny to full-time painter.
Happens to the best of us.
The creative Mary Poppins.
Darren, the same question back to you. You hinted at it, right? You're losing money on some of your first gigs. Making very poor decisions. How long did that continue before you realized like this isn't working? I got to charge more, or I got to take a different strategy. And what were some of the things that you did?
Oh, am I supposed to pretend like it's not still happening? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You're a professional.
Okay. I'm super successful. I'm professional. No, honestly, man, it was such trial and error. Like, I wouldn't recommend what I did to anybody. It worked eventually, and it has been calculated eventually. But I mean, I just really hit the ground running backwards. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not really a gallerist artist in the traditional sense, the same way that Kate is. Most of my stuff's on walls. I do small pieces on paper and canvas, and I mostly don't show that stuff, honestly. I'm kind of like hoarding it for a show that I don't know when it's gonna happen. But yeah, it's kind of the wild, wild west when it comes to like doing murals. So I come from a graffiti and skateboarding background, so I kind of just use that aesthetic and that kind of ethos to really DIY it and literally knock on doors and just be like, hey, like, you want a mural? And then most of them would be like, I guess, like, what are you talking about? And then I would, get into it.
So talk about that. Like, how are you literally just in Oakland, California? You're just finding buildings that like are privately owned, and you're just knocking on their door and being like, hey, I think this is a great spot for a mural.
Let me paint.
Yeah. So, I mean, this could be a huge discussion, but, surface level quick answer is, yeah. I mean, as I said, I allegedly come from a graffiti background where we don't ask for permission. We just kind of do. And whether that be at night or what have you. So I just kind of took that approach, but actually, asked for permission. And I'm not the most intimidating or scary dude, so I can talk to people and they'll at least hear me out most of the time. But yeah, I mean, if a business looks kind of run down, which a lot of them do in Oakland, they appreciate it. it's almost like a community beautification thing, you know? If a wall is super fucked up, like why not have a mural on it? And that's kind of the logic that I go on. And the more kind of confident in that I am, the more confident someone else will be in it. And that, yeah, that's kind of how it started. And I still do stuff like that. But as I said, I've kind of built up, you know, my business, for lack of a better term, where I have a lot of inbound requests, so I don't need to do that as much. And the only way that I am forced or want to do that is when I want to do something that's completely my style, which is becoming a natural progression because I'm pushing it that way on purpose. If you look at my Instagram or most of anything that you may find online, it's what I like to do. It's not necessarily what I've been hired to do. And that was a strategic decision that I made recently. So yeah, that's my long-winded answer.
You just mentioned Instagram, and I scrolled, and it didn't take too long to get to the bottom of both of your guys' Instagram. And Kate started last year in 2020, and yours, Darren, in 2019. That's fairly recent, you know, in the scheme of putting work online. I don't even know what the formulated question here is, but like, how is it so recent? Like, have you guys just weren't sharing art beforehand online, or did you have other strategies to do so?
Yeah, Kate, what's up with your Instagram, huh?
Shut up. So I had a previous account, but during 2016, I was being very political. I was posting a lot of political stuff that people didn't like to see, and a lot of my patrons are hunters and also Republicans. So I had to sort of separate the art from the political shenanigans that is my other account, my personal account. So that's why.
So you just split the two.
I had to split the two. I had to split the baby. Otherwise, because I was losing people to my political opinion. And I was like, well, you know, at the same time, I don't know that I want those people buying my work, but at the same time, I need those people buying my work because I need to make money. So ass kiss away.
So basically, Kate sold out. That's what I gather. Good job.
And what about yourself, Darren? I mean, you're an infant to the Instagram game in 2019 still too.
Yeah. So I'm. I don't know what you said, but I'm gonna assume that I don't like it. I've had multiple accounts. I'm pretty strange when it comes to the internet. Like, I'm very particular. So I had a, you know, like a personal account where it's just kind of like, you know, here's me traveling, like fucking look at my food or whatever. And then it turned into an art account, and then it turned into like kind of both. And you know, when I started doing this full time, people were like, just post your art, or, you know, post your art and put a little fucking story where people can know about you or whatever. Like, and I was like, all right, you know. And now I just fucking have one, and I put my art on there, and sometimes there's a picture of like my feet on the beach or some shit. But yeah, that's my, you know, my art account, my personal account. It's just what it is, and I'm just gonna keep posting what I like with some strategy behind it, you know.
For the listeners, if you're interested in feet pics, go to Darren's account. The link is going to be below. I want to talk about, you guys probably have much different processes in terms of your work and how to get there. And I know Kate was just holding, I don't know if that was a pencil or a paintbrush or something like that.
Oh, it's a pencil.
Talk about your guys' process. Like, how do you know, what's the start to middle to finish of your work, and kind of the different methodologies that you utilize to get to your final pieces? And I'm assuming because one's mural and one's more canvas based, they're much different. And we'll let Kate go first.
Well, first I come up with a series idea, and I focus on one animal so I don't jump around too much. But mostly I just read a lot of politics, get angry, and then create. That's pretty much what I do. In its entirety, that's pretty much it. I'll read a bunch of politicians saying angry shenanigans on Twitter, and then I paint based on what I'm feeling or what I can't vent out, so to speak.
But you mentioned, you know, you focus on one animal and then you do a series. Is that kind of how you build out?
Yeah, it's a bit, well, depending on what I'm feeling, depends on the animal. So if I'm feeling sort of not lazy, but just not aggressive, I use a bear typically. Or if I'm, you know, feeling really angry, I use a wolf. If I'm, you know, ditto a jackal and a, you know, or a fox. If I'm super chill or whatever, I'll use a goat or something, or a skeleton sometimes. It just depends.
I've never seen a goat. I've seen a lot of wolves. Let's just put that out there.
You haven't scrolled all the way down then.
Oops.
You must have this whole process of like, you must have to do your research on different animals, different, like the way they look. And do you dive into things like that? Like, are you curious about them and then you just learn and then you're able to speak, you know, kind of more detail oriented about each work?
Sometimes. Mostly I do a deep dive on fungus, like different types of mushrooms, different types of lichens. I do a bunch of research on different types of ibex, different types of animals with horns, animals with, you know, the really jagged teeth, you know, anything that I think can represent my emotions at that time, like a snarl or a roar, I will do a deep dive into that.
Cool.
Google or, you know, Planet Earth, you know, whatever. We do have a wolf reserve here in New Mexico that I hope to, you know, soon go out there and take more photographs at and get some more research done. But, you know, it's you don't always get that emotion from an animal when you're in front of it. So it's hard to get those like snarly expressions outside of them fighting with other people, you know, with other types of wolves.
And then what do you know, what's the physical kind of process? Do you actually like pen to paper sketch, or do you like use
I sketch. Yeah, I sketch first. And then sometimes I'll take it to Procreate and sort of do a collage version of what I'm trying to do and then get it all sketched out. Depends on my time frame.
Gotcha.
How long I have.
Again, rapid fire here. How long do your works usually take?
Depends on what it is. If it's a watercolor, 22 by 30, it could take about a month.
Oh shit.
At times, when I do a 3 foot by 6 foot, a 3 foot by 6 foot can take me up to 4 months.
And you make money on this?
Yeah.
That's wild. Literally, pun intended.
Yeah. Well,
I see what you did there.
You can't do it. You know, it's do it right or do it fast. Can't.
I like that a lot.
Look at that. She has her own tagline and everything.
Do it right or do it. I mean, yeah, it was beautiful. We're going to sign off here, folks. No, I'm just kidding. Darren, what about yourself and your process? Murals are crazy, especially like when you get into the very large like side of buildings, and like, how do you map your things out? Are you a sketch artist first, or, you know, what's your process like?
Yeah. So, I don't really have any formal training, but I do like come from kind of like a formal background as far as my creation. Like I would always do pencil, then pen, and map things out just by kind of looking at it or gridding. It was all just pen and paper and kind of looking at shapes and taking influences from my, you know, the different subcultures I'm part of. It wasn't until kind of recently that I had more of a, you know, sit down, look at the wall and actually really have a process as far as where everything goes precisely. It was a lot of it was kind of off the cuff and rough sketches. Now my process is I'll take a photo of the wall or the building. I'll put it on my iPad and I'll just literally sketch on the photo. And I'll do, you know, a full-on mock-up. I'll do a full like digital painting with the colors and everything. And that way I know what the hell I'm doing. That's kind of like the, you know, the basic nuts and bolts. There's a lot of different things that go into that, but I'm not one for, you know, going up to the wall and gridding it, or even doing what they call like a doodle grid, which is when you kind of just do like random sketches and use that as pinpoints. I still like to kind of eyeball the wall and just have a reference that I've made so I can improvise. Because I like imperfections, you know, I try to stay away from using tape and all that kind of stuff, because I like the naturalistic look of things being done by hand.
So you're going from an 11-inch iPad to, let's just say, a massive 60-foot wall, and
Sure.
you're going from the time you're staring at that micro screen, you just build in reference points on the bricks or in certain other areas on the wall, and you're just kind of going after it.
Yeah, I mean, to put it simply, I try not to like stare at screens too when I'm painting, so I tend to do printouts or a really rough sketch that looks like hieroglyphics and nobody would understand, but I'm like, oh yeah, the triangle goes here. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's it becomes somewhat intuitive because I've been essentially painting on walls since I hold on, how old am I? Like 15 years. So it becomes second nature. And I'm not gonna lie, for like really, really large scale things where it has to be like precision, I'll go at night and then project and get the at least like the outline and kind of like the perspectives down so that I have that reference point. But that's kind of, for lack of a better term, worst case scenario. I would rather go and just kind of have a reference. And as you said, I mean, I'll find really little things on the wall, like a crack or, bird shit or whatever it is, and use that as kind of an anchor, and build from there.
Super cool. And then in terms of timeline for yourself, like obviously it depends on the size of the wall, but like what's like a normal project to a very long project?
Yeah, I mean, it's super variable, but average, let's think of like a bedroom sized wall, and then up to like a 3-story wall,
Mm-hmm.
outside. I would say it takes anywhere from 2 days to, I think the most I've spent on a project is a month, but it was like the entire building, like a huge building, lots of different themes. So yeah, somewhere between a few days and a month, honestly, depending on the project. But average, I would say about a week.
So that's crazy. And the reason why I asked you both that question is the question that always comes up, right, with artists, and myself included, because I'm a painter as well. How do you price your work, right? That's like the $1 million thing that nobody ever, or starting artists or people who are just went off on their own are trying to figure out, because Darren, you alluded to it earlier, of like losing money. They want to avoid that, but they don't want to price too high, and then people don't value time. You don't want to charge yourself $3 an hour. It's so, have you guys ever been asked that question? Have you thought about it? What is your immediate response? We'll kick it back over to Kate, I guess, on this one first.
I left it up to the gallery.
Okay.
I didn't know how to price my work at first. I used to just clock myself and then price myself as if I would like an hourly job. Like however long it took me to finish that painting is how much I paid myself.
So in 2015, let's just give an example. 2015, let's just say you're a year or two in, you clock yourself. Let's just say it took you 40 hours. How much are you paying yourself an hour? I'm assuming it's more today. That's why I went back.
It was $10 an hour.
$10 an hour.
Yeah, before the gallery.
That doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but is that?
It doesn't, but it is.
If it's a work that takes 4 months and it's
fair enough.
Hours, does it add? Is it?
I mean, you have to take into account the supplies that you had to buy in which to get it. You have to take into account the hours. You have to take into account the price of the canvas. Like there's so much money that is spent just to get started on these projects. So you have to remember that when you start these things, is that when you're pricing it, you gotta include that. Like a lot of artists are like, oh, I'm just glad that they're buying my work. No, just price it like you know that you're valued. Don't undercut yourself because you're just desperate for a sale. Like it's kind of like whenever you see you see 2 purses or 2 pieces of jewelry. You see one that's $5 and one that's $200. Which one do you think is going to be more quality? You're going to assume the one that's more expensive is a higher quality, right? It's the same with art. And I'm not saying that, you know, everyone should price themselves to the stratosphere, to the moon, but price yourself the way that you believe that you should be priced. Not, you know, I'm grateful that the gallery took that over for me, but they do take 50%. That is the hard truth when it comes to galleries. They do take 50%. Some take 30, but they do take a percentage, and that's why art is priced so high.
So for those watching on YouTube, you just saw my facial reaction there. But like, how do 50% is a boatload, and
Yes.
like, how? I don't even know what the question is, but
You
like,
just floored,
sense?
the interviewer, man. Like, yeah. Explain yourself, Kate.
Yeah, how does
With honesty, how dare I?
how is that sustainable? Like, let's get to the root cause here. That's crazy.
It is, well, and that's the thing, is that you're paying for their clientele. Like, they do the footwork for you. So as what you would spend your day doing, marketing yourself and trying to get people to see your work, they've already got that covered. You know, there's a big difference between me being able to just paint all day while they do the tough lifting and shipping and, you know, making sure the credit cards go through, you know, holding people accountable to the layaway prices, you know, like everything that just would give me a headache, they do. So it is worth it to me.
This is perfect, and that's kind of why now we have the context for that. That makes a boatload of sense, right? You can focus on the creative, and that's your strong suit. So why would you want to do all the intricacies and the side things that you don't necessarily know about or excel at or have the clientele to build at? I mean, to me, that makes sense because then you could do more work.
Absolutely. And there are people that do it themselves, though, and very successfully. Ashley Longshore is notorious for not going through a gallery, and she has been able to do extremely well. But she also has a very well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So, you know, she has a lot of help. She has a lot of people working with her. I mean, she's been through that grindstone of getting all of her own business together. So, you know, there's a lot of success that comes from marketing yourself on social media to the point where galleries aren't always necessary. But for the people who don't want to deal with all the bullshit that comes after you sell a painting, the galleries are great, and that 50% is worth it. Super. So it's up to the artist. It's preference, I think.
Yeah, and this is where like our kind of opposite dichotomy comes into play, right? I do the far opposite. I am the one doing all the work, all the marketing. You know, I run my own business, or, you know, or brand, or whatever you want to call it, and it does take away a lot of time. Like, I mean, you know, I tell people that I'm an artist, they're like, oh, it's cute, like you paint and fuck around. It's like, most of my day, honestly, is fucking boring, man. I wake up at 6:15, I, you know, check my emails, do a bunch of admin shit, make sure that you know, I'm responding to a bunch of different stuff online, and if I'm lucky, I can, you know, do a mock-up or actually paint. But half of my week is kind of doing like office work, and that's really the difference, right? If Kate has the freedom to, you know, paint and just kind of worry about the canvas or whatever piece she's doing, I'm trying to do all of it, and I'm not saying one way is better or the other. Right. But, you know, it works for me, and that's what works for her. So, you know, there's always different ways to go about your artistic career.
But do you have an appreciation for doing kind of all of it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do, because that means that I'm in control of the perception and kind of like where I'm going, most literally, right? I mean, I really like to travel. So sometimes I'll take a job as an excuse to go somewhere and use that as a springboard to kind of just, you know, go on a trip and then get work out of it. Most recently, I did that in Los Angeles. I did a live painting event out there, and what was supposed to be, you know, a 3-day trip turned into almost 2 weeks because I met people and painted walls that were curated through galleries, and it was great. So I like to keep that kind of loose nature, but I also do plan projects ahead of time where, you know, I do have to keep a calendar. I don't know where the fuck I'm going or what I'm doing. I'm like my own secretary. But in the morning, I'm a different person than I am in the afternoon. In the morning, I'm very, business cut and dry.
We're going to have to record part 2 in a few episodes, and we'll get you in the afternoon then, and we'll see who we get.
Oh, no. Oh, God. Yeah, maybe.
But,
maybe.
Copy, Mr. Darin.
But to the pricing question, Darren, in terms of, murals, do you price by per foot or by time or hours or paint, or, how does that work?
Yeah, that's the golden question. And a lot of people have different strategies. For those that are listening that want to become a muralist or want to get in that world, a good way to start is by square footage and then add in your materials. And people vary. I mean, it can go from like 15 to 40 per square foot. Like, it's a huge span. It depends on the cost of living where you're at, what your experience is, what you're doing, who you're working for. For me, I don't really have I have a formula that I use, but it's so second nature now that I just do a project flat rate. I take square footage into account, but I'll just hear out the client or, whoever I'm working with, and I'll have an idea in my head and then give them a range according to how long I think it's going to take, how large it is, and the complexity. And always ask for 50% up front. Like, no matter what you're doing, ask for a deposit. I have, a very generic and easy contract ready to go whenever anybody wants one. But I think that's one of the biggest, value adds I can give to somebody is don't do a handshake deal. Like, you can at first, if you really want to just put your stuff out there or even work for free. Like, there's no shame in doing some work for free. Like, honestly, that's like a dirty secret. A lot of famous muralists and artists at these festivals, you don't get paid a lot, or at all. What I'm trying to say is that it's a sliding scale, but I price accordingly. Like, if it's a client that's like a big name, like a big soda company, I'm probably going to charge more than if Kate's grandmother wants her backyard painted.
Talking about your guys' work and kind of the future, and you guys have been doing this on your own for a few years or a while now. What's the future look like for both of you? Like, do you have goals and aspirations or a milestone, or how do you keep yourself accountable? Have a monthly breakdown of, I'm trying to do this by this, or do you guys just live in the moment? And so talk maybe about kind of some of your artistic goals, life goals. How do you set yourself straight and hold yourself accountable? And we'll kick it back over to you, Kate, first, I guess.
I just want to be more, I want to spread out more, definitely. I can't wait to go to LA, see how I do there. I'm hoping to get into some of the bigger galleries, and when I first started, the big milestone was being in high fructose. That was the big kicker. That was my big goal, was High Fructose magazine. And I don't know why that was the target, but it was. And it still kind of is. So I'm hoping that one day that will happen. And then after that, world domination, that's fine. Whatever.
You mentioned High Fructose magazine. Is there, do you have like a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan, or are you just kind of just going day by day? Because I think, I've mentioned this on other episodes. It's like, it seemed like everybody had a plan before COVID even happened, and then just slapped everybody in the face, and then you kind of reset your life. So maybe it is better to just live more in the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend like COVID or quarantine really changed my life in any way. I mean, the truth is I am pretty much in this space all day long anyway. So there wasn't really a whole lot of change other than I needed more supplies, and that was hard to get because everybody was like, let's try out painting during quarantine. So everybody went and cleaned out all the art stores in Albuquerque, like as far as the eye can see. So, it's, that was the only trouble. But other than that, I didn't, nothing really changed that much. And as far as my 10-year plan, it's pretty much to survive and keep creating. That's has been my 10-year plan.
I would say that's a pretty solid plan.
Yeah,
so.
It's a good plan. It works.
Do you think there's going to be like a zombie apocalypse? Jeez, man.
You don't know.
I
You
guess.
never know, Darren.
What about yourself, Darren? Do you kind of prioritize or break down, you know, what your goals are for the year, or you know, how do you structure your business? Do you plan on growing your business? Do you plan on having multiple associates? Like, how are you kind of structuring or thinking about this?
I can just feel Kate laughing, so go ahead, Kate. Yeah, I wish I could be like, you know, I'm all in the moment. I just fucking free flow and, you know, flower child style, but that's just not, it's not me, you know. It's really opposite of what you would think of a creative. Like, I like to have structure. As I said, I wake up at the same time every day. I have like a routine, you know. I do, well, this is kind of flower child of me, but I do yoga and meditate, and I have a fucked up back, so I have a foam roller and do all the stretches. And then I check my emails, and I do try to plan out as far ahead as I can, and that's been a slow burn. So now I do have the luxury of being able to plan out, you know, a few months out. And that allows me some time to make goals, you know, yearly. And honestly, I'm not really getting to the point where it's more than yearly yet, but right now my immediate goal is to try and get on the festival circuit.
Nice.
as far as murals go. Yeah, thanks. And so I am volunteering at a few. I'm on like the B team at a few, and I might be featured in a few. We'll see. But that's kind of like my year / immediate goal. Honestly, because it seems fun.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, good exposure and all of that. And, you know, Kate was saying her 10-year goal is to kind of survive. I mean, I would hope that's everyone's goal, but it's kind of to survive and also thrive in the sense that, like, I don't need to worry about eating or paying my bills. And that's luckily started to become a reality. Like, I can, you know, sustain a certain lifestyle by doing my art. And as far as like associates go and stuff like that, I actually do have someone who helps out a lot. Shout out to Terme. That's my right-hand woman. She's fucking awesome. Go check her out. But yeah, without her, I think I'd be pretty lost. Like, I'll ask her where things are, like, that are on my own projects. Like, where is, you know, this restaurant again? She's like, it's San Jose at 4 p.m. Like, she's kind of my secret weapon. So yeah, I do have someone that helps out a lot.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad there's an added to the surviving aspect, and it's to thrive and be able to, like, not have to worry about life. Essentially.
Yeah. You know, I don't really think there's gonna be a zombie apocalypse, unlike Kate. But you know, teach their own.
Before I ask you guys the last question, where can people find you? Because, like I alluded to, I go to your guys' Instagram page. There's no direct, like, website links or anything like that. And so then I tried Googling Kate Samuels, and it's a super popular name. And even I edit art or anything like that, and I just couldn't find it. So where can people find you? And we'll start with you, Kate, in terms of, you know, Instagram, Twitter, website. How do people follow your journey? But also, you know, if they want to check out your work.
Pop Gallery in Santa Fe is one, and Witty, Shitty, and a Little Pretty on Twitter is my other handle. And I have a big following there. Yeah, you can find me there.
And it's Kate_Samuels on Instagram, right?
Yes, it is.
And what about you, Darren?
Yeah, just go to my Instagram. It's made by Darren. So made by, my name is spelled phonetically, DARIN, like Nancy. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the best way to follow me. You know, I put stuff in my stories and art and whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. I was just getting shit yesterday from an artist friend of mine for not having a website. So, you know, maybe that's my other immediate goal.
Without a website?
No.
I don't really think it's that necessary anymore. With social media, it doesn't really seem to be that important anymore to have a website.
I mean, I think there's value in it, but go ahead, David.
No, I'm color me impressed. Like I just thought like that was like the thing that people do. I guess not. I mean, if you're able to do it and have a successful business and you only have pretty much your Instagram page and people think that's enough, then I'm learning something brand new right now, because why spend the time and the energy on it if it's working?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, maybe do as I say, not as I do, to like all of the aspiring artists out there. It's worked for me. It probably doesn't work for most. I think there's a lot of validity in having a website, and it makes you more professional, and having that portfolio and kind of something to lead people to on your business cards and all of that. I think that's great. I'm just, if I don't know, and I'm not lazy, but making a website to me sounds daunting because I'm so specific and I've done it before. But I think I need to take the dive and make a website. So any website builders out there, holler at me.
There we go. There we go. We'll have to find some on Clubhouse. I'm sure that they survive over there too.
Oh God.
So the last question I'll pitch to both of you guys is, one of the things that we try to do is create to inspire. At least that's one of my missions and goals in life, is just to create arts or podcasts or conversation or events to inspire other people to do something different. So the question is, if you guys had to leave one message or one piece of advice for anyone, regardless if they're creative or an artist or whatever, what would you tell them in terms of past learnings that you've had, or anything to kind of motivate or inspire somebody? And we'll go with Kate first again.
Just keep practicing. You're never going to get success from your first piece or your second piece or your third piece, but if you just keep practicing, you will get success from your work. It's not a race to see who can post first. Just work on your stuff, work on perfecting it, work on making it so pristine that when you post it, people say, oh my God, look at that, and like it and share it and amuse over it. And it's not about how quickly you can create a piece of art to put on social media. Yeah, I think a lot of people mistake an active social media for quality over quantity, in my opinion. Your quality of work, it's not about how many paintings you have posted on your Instagram. It's about how many paintings that look high quality that you post on your Instagram, the ones that look finished, the ones that you're proud of and that you can't wait to show. There's a lot to be said for that.
What about yourself, Darren?
Yeah, from a creative standpoint, I would say to just not get discouraged, or it's kind of impossible, but try not to compare in a way that's toxic. I go by the rule of being the dumbest person in the room as far as skill and talent, and maybe intellect. And because of that, I have friends that teach me something new every day. And it also keeps me humble and hungry, and feeds the insecurity that I fucking suck, so I always get better. So that is the bigger kind of message there, is maybe even if you're not a creative, have some confidence in yourself, but also don't be complacent, because when you're complacent, that's when you stop growing. And you kind of need that hunger to keep going. Yeah, I guess that's my message. I don't know.
No, that's awesome. I think that's perfect. I would completely agree with that. All of that was said between Kate and yourself. So, thank you. This was a lot of fun. We we definitely snipped out a couple parts by the time, if you guys are still listening to this, we have edited some of the parts out by this point. But I appreciate Kate Samuels and Darin Balaban. It was just such a cool last name, by the way. For joining us on episode 41 of An Untold Narrative. I appreciate you guys both joining me today.
Dude, I super appreciate it. Maybe we can have like an uncut version for Patreon people or something.
Oh, good Lord.